Welcome, for goodness sake, fam. Welcome. If this is your first time with us, I'm pleased to have you. And if you're a returning visitor, subscriber, I appreciate your love and welcome back. So it's been just about a month. I'm still in March, so we're still on track. We're giving you guys your monthly dose of for goodness sake, your monthly dose of goodness, hopefully, if that's what you take out of this. So, it doesn't seem like chronologically it's that long of a time since we last talked, and yet it feels like a lifetime ago since I've sat in front of a camera and been able to kind of speak my mind to you guys. Wow, it feels like a different world, even from a couple weeks ago, and it feels like an eternity from even last week, let alone last month when we last spoke. I have so much to say. I think that might have been a huge inhibitor for me even making this video, because I think in the last month there's been so many things happening, especially surrounding the coronavirus, and there's so many ways that I could talk to you guys about it, and then I want to, because I have thoughts about it. I mean, there's so much to do with politics and just the lack of leadership, the lack of unity amongst world leaders, especially leaders that we've been and nations we've been allied with for a long time. You have individual actors in countries like Donald Trump in our country, in the United States, and Boris Johnson in the UK, talking like a month ago or 3 weeks ago, saying things like it's not a big deal, and we're gonna have everything under control, it's all good, no worries. And then Boris Johnson's talking about shaking people's hands that have the virus, and all these things. And then a few weeks later, it's just clear that this is a huge issue, and all the scientific experts and the medical experts, infectious disease experts, they were like, yeah, we were right. You guys kind of effed up here. So, I mean, there's so much to talk about with that, and I was able to watch a lot of the conferences that Donald Trump was doing and giving for a while, and I haven't watched in the past week, but for about a week and a half, I was watching them pretty consistently, and it is chock full of just, I mean, honestly, absurdity and what I would like to call comedy if it wasn't so serious for a lot of people. I mean, if anybody's seen the movie Contagion, it's like we were ripped straight out of the movie. Like, he's over here saying untested, unproven treatments to this pandemic. He's advocating for it. I mean, he's blaming China, and granted, like, this pandemic did start there, but there's just so much, there's so many layers to it, like calling it the China virus or the Chinese virus. And even when he's asked about it, he gives these absurd responses. It's because it's from China. That's where the disease, it's from China. It's the Chinese virus. It's from China. Don't you understand? It's like, I don't even know. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, this dude's lack of awareness, lack of consensus with medical experts, and just lack of support for the American people too, with doctors, governors, people across the country asking for help and support for certain materials, certain items, production for personal protection equipment, or tests, or gurneys, beds, ventilators. I mean, there's layers and layers of issues, and we haven't really been supported as a people by our government at all, and it's been a lack of listening on the White House's part in a lot of ways. And that's not to say that there's been nothing positive done, but it just means that, like, we've really got our work cut out for us in the next few months. And so I say that to say that there's a lot to talk about politically with this virus. There's the stimulus package that they released, that I have so much that I think about it. I mean, I'm a college kid that just lost his job for the period of time that this is going to have everybody on lockdown. that I still have rent to pay, I still have other bills to pay, and I'm not going to get touched for that stimulus package, which gave $500 billion to corporations that are multi-billion-dollar net worths, and gave $0 to me off of the money that I've paid in taxes for the past few years, the money that my family's paid in taxes, the money that everybody that would be watching this has paid in taxes. And you know, it's frustrating that we are gonna see a fraction of it compared to what we should, and compared to what's going to corporations, and two, what other countries who are much smaller than us economically have done. You know, Canada released like a $2,000 UBI package that'll pass for 4 months. You know, they're like, at least for the next 4 months, we'll give you every citizen $2,000. As far as I know, it's no questions asked. I haven't dug too much into it, so I don't want to speak out of information that I don't have. But I mean, just that basic level of like, even if there's like some qualifications that are, you know, fine print, a couple of people here, a couple of people there, you know, can't get the package. It's frustrating to see that the largest economy in the world is like, well, actually, we're not going to give anybody more than $1,200, and we're going to scale it upward. You know, if you're a married couple, if you're a college kid, you don't get any, or if your parents claim you and you're a college kid, and you know, if you have a kid, okay, here's $500. It's like, you know, these are things that are just scratching the surface of what's needed, and now our government is essentially not active until, I don't know, I'm hearing like mid-April, they're saying, because they're like, well, we're on coronavirus shutdown, so we can't come into DC to, you know, have a meeting and vote on anything. To me, it's like, why the hell are we not just remote voting, online voting, Skype voting, like whatever the heck we need to do? It doesn't make sense that our whole government is AWOL. We have people going to work, you know, that are classified as essential workers. I would say that like our government is kind of essential right now, you know, barring my feelings on it, you know what I mean? Like if I didn't feel like it was so freaking ineffective, you know, I would say that they're pretty essential. Any functional government would be pretty essential in an important time like this. And yet they're going home, they're still getting their paychecks, they're gonna be okay, but everybody else is still going to work, or they're not going to work and they're not being compensated for it. So they're not going to work, but they're being compensated for it. We don't go to work, we're not getting compensated for it, or barely getting compensated for it, or you just have to go to work and risk your life. And, you know, pray that in the case of like McDonald's or Amazon, it's like pray that your other co-workers will give you paid sick days that they haven't used or something, you know. So that's another layer of it that I'm upset about in politics, and that there's so much to talk about with there. There's a lot to do with kind of policies on future policies that I like to see. That it's crazy to me. I guess I'll just say that once we've gotten into pandemic mode, then all of a sudden the subways in New York and around the country, buses and just public transportations in general, that all of a sudden these public transportation systems are being sanitized out of nowhere. It's like, oh yeah, we're cleaning them twice a day now. And it's like, that's crazy to me. Like, how are we that dirty? You know, that we're just like, yeah, whatever, who cares? Just go on. Don't ever try and clean anything up. I mean, you know, if somebody throws up, you know, maybe we'll wipe it up with some paper towels, but then just keep it moving. So there's all these policies that, you know, it seems that this pandemic is showing are very useful, and we really need them before this. Like, we need them forever, you know. If I had it my way, I mean, there should be a department of every government, every branch of government, you know, from like, you know, hopefully you could handle it at a local level, but if you can't, then state level, whatever, district level, state level, county level, whatever, you know, and up until the federal level that goes around cleaning things that are the government's properties. You know, if that's your property as a state, then you should clean that and make it look nice for the country, and not be infected with gross things, you know. And you could pay people to do that, and that would be an easy way to, you know, give somebody who doesn't have maybe the most amount of accolades on their resume or highest number of education, you know, or highest degrees from education, I should say, you could give them an opportunity to work for, a job. That's it. Like, it's like, it doesn't matter. Might not be the most amount of money, but it's a job, They can go and dedicate themselves to something and bring something home for themselves, and work towards something else, So, I don't see why we don't have that. That's something else that it's like this pandemic is just revealing these things that we really need, that we're just really lacking on. Environmentally, it's showing our damage that we're having and how, quickly abating ourselves from the environment and our terrible, effects on it can just kind of slowly start to bounce back. It's not going to just like overnight change, but of course it can start to, feel a little bit like it has a little bit of breathing room. And so there's these really interesting, there's like this really interesting dichotomy that's happening right now. It's like the world is completely changing and has completely changed in the past, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and is continuing to change. And yet everything is kind of similar, but it's almost just like we're seeing some negative sides of what, or really being displayed the negative sides of our society, our way of living, the way our government does things, and just kind of the bad effects that it has on ourselves, the people around us, the environment. And so I guess it's been hard for me to talk to you guys specifically about this. I've been wanting to talk about it, because I don't know if you go through any place on social media, you're gonna see 100,000 people saying, "Oh, quarantine time, we're doing this, and take advantage of the quarantine this way, and XYZ," and it's like amazing, it's really good that people are doing that, and I've been seeing it too. And that's another thing. I've been feeling like everybody else is telling you everything you need to know, and everything that I'd like to say too at some level. And so it's like I felt either that there's just so much for me to say that I didn't really know how to put it into words, or like everything I wanted to say was already said. And I don't know if anybody is a creative out there. I don't know if anybody, I think everybody's a creative. It's just kind of, we learn to put ourselves in a box of like, oh, I'm not creative, or, oh, I'm very creative, I'm an artist, and like, I used to be the type of person who was like, I'm not creative at all. I can't draw, I can't paint, I can't even write my name without it looking like chicken scratch. So, I'm not creative at all. I can't sing, I can't dance, blah, 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 blah. But that's not true. I am and always have been creative. In the past few years, I've definitely gotten more into my creative side, but it doesn't mean that I wasn't creative before. And I think it's just easy for ourselves to get into this trap of feeling like we are something, good at X, good at reading, or good at writing, good at singing, good at jogging, good at exercise. I mean, like, seriously, like, we get in these traps of either thinking we are something, or we are good at something, or we're not good at something. And so therefore we're not that thing, and we shouldn't even do it, or shouldn't even try it. And so I guess, I think one thing that I'd like you guys to think about in this time is, like everybody else is kind of saying, if this is an opportunity to change things, because things are changing, and they have changed in the past few weeks, and they will continue to change in the future, what would you like them to change into for you specifically? If you know that everything is kind of changing at least a little bit, maybe it's not this massive revolution, this massive overhaul of everything we're doing, what would you like out of your life, out of the things you do, to change, and how would you like them to be after you've changed them? Okay, so I took this quote, the quote of the day, kind of later than into the video than we're normally used to, so that's cool. It feels like a nice, very apt for the program. It's a change of routine. The quote of the day is, it's by an author named John Maxwell. He wrote some like self-help books on success and leadership, I think, but I'm not really worried about his books. I really liked his quote though. He said that change is inevitable, but growth is optional. And I really like that. I know I had a teacher in South St. Paul High School who I love, and I still have lots of contact with to this day, Miss Weinferner. Shout out Chris Weinferner, she's awesome. And one of her big motifs that she tries to kind of drill into us as children, and as we grow up into adults, is, and that truly it is a long-lived and lifelong process. It's not just like once you're a kid you stop growing or something. Like, she does try to instill it into me to this day, which is that growth is what's important. It's like she always is talking about growth. It's not about the place that you begin at. It's not about how far ahead or how far behind somebody else that you're at in that beginning spot, and it's not about how far at the end of the mission, let's say, or at the end of the challenge, at the end of the road. It's not about how far ahead or how far behind you are as somebody else. It's all about how much you've grown and what you've grown, and what you feel about that growth, what that growth means to you. And so I guess I want to take an opportunity in this video to make you guys think about growth specifically, because I know we see all the change that's happened and how it's happening still, and it probably will continue to happen for a few weeks at least. I mean, there's doctors talking about like 18 months of recurring coronavirus spreading, and so I don't know how long it'll take. We probably won't be shut down for that long, because I just can't imagine that the United States would just allow that. I think they'd rather sacrifice lives, as our president is suggesting to do, by opening up our country by ether. But regardless, well, I gave my little political rant for a little bit, so maybe we'll say that for either at the end of the video or maybe a next video. I think that it's going to be at least a few months, at the very least a few months, that we're going to continue to be in this state of flux. And all the people that we see on social media or in our actual personal lives, I know that doesn't seem like it really exists. A social life, human, personal contact. When was the last time it happened? I know it seems like forever ago, but for all the people that are in either our social media lives or physically person-to-person contact lives, that are advocating for us to take advantage of this time and take advantage of this as an opportunity to make changes for ourselves, I want you to think about what that change is. I don't want you to, I'm not necessarily going to tell you, oh, go out and do this, go out and do that. I've had amazing suggestions. One of my other favorite people to listen to for advice is Tim Keneally, also over at South St. Paul High School. He gave a really nice kind of structured point-by-point guideline of what some really great things to do are, that are overarching, and they don't exactly pick one individual thing. So he said, focus breathing, focus on getting focused breathing as much as you can during this time. Take advantage of it to try and write in any capacity that you can, introspectively, creatively, however, whatever it means for you. He said, try and get movement any way you can. Again, very broad. Getting outside, getting outdoors, staying 6 feet away from people, of course, but enjoying the fresh air, in any capacity, going around a walk, going to a park, doing monkey bars, doing an exercise outside, going on a run, I don't care, whatever it means to you, go rollerblade it for all I care. Getting outside, getting some fresh air. And then I think there may have been one more, either some type of creative expression, or something of the like, but those were some of the things that stuck out to me most, because I liked how broad they were, that he wasn't saying anything specific or concrete, just opening it up for everybody's interpretation. And so that's amazing. Those are amazing things to do, and those would be amazing changes to anybody's life. They really do truly help bring you to center, and getting some type of introspection going is always beneficial for life. So I guess what I would say for this isn't necessarily to do that. I want you to think about what changes you'd like to make. Not necessarily in the small scale even those practices that he mentioned, or other people are mentioning in the world about things that will benefit you, I want you to imagine yourself and imagine the changes, that the person that you see, imagine the person that you want to be, imagine the things that you want to do. If there was nothing stopping you, if there was nothing in your way, if there's no commitments, if there was no work involved, if there was nothing that physically could change, if you could just snap your fingers and then immediately you'd be the very perfect, the closest reflection of the person that you want to be. Who is that person? Who do you see when you picture that in your head? I guess I see a muscular and expressive person speaking many languages and painting very nicely, beautiful paintings, and he can kick people's butt in chess, and yeah, I mean, that's kind of the image I have right now. I'm sure if you ask me in 10 minutes, I might change, because I just have 100,000 things that I want to do, and only one lifetime, and only so much energy to put it into, and so I just have to put my energy as much as I can. So for me, I just mentioned a few things. Muscular person. I know I'm a little egotistic, but you gotta bear with me. I'm self-aware about it, so that's the best I can do. I like chess. I like chess. I've been trying to. I've been seeing myself, playing it recently, so we'll leave it at that. And painting and beautiful paintings, right? So with those three things, instead of me just deciding, oh, well, what do I want to do with all this time? What do I want to put myself into? I can think about myself like that, like I just did. Use it as a practice to visualize and just say, who do I want to be in the future? And then all of a sudden I come up with some things where I'm like, oh, well, recently I haven't had time to paint because I've been so caught up with school. Like I said before, I've never thought of myself as a creative type, and in art I always got terrible scores. Just like I got scores, I won't say they're terrible. I always got the scores that would be like, okay, this is horrible, but you at least participated, so like I won't give you a 0, those type of scores. And so except for, there was a couple times when I had like a really cool project that I just loved, and I'd get like an average score. maybe twice in all of my art career, all my years of art, I got like an above average score. And that was just like the craziest thing ever. I was just like, I loved that, project forever. Actually, I'll show you this one. This was probably from, I don't even know, maybe like 8th grade, 10th grade, I don't know. It's just funny that it's sitting here. Back home in Minnesota now, as my whole school and state and my job is all shut down. So I see myself as like a 2-animaled white tiger, black wolf, spirit animal. So that's what mask I made myself. So this was one of them that I didn't get a horrible score on. So I'm always super proud of those ones. But nevertheless, I never thought of myself as creative. However, in the past few years, just doing things like watching Bob Ross videos on Netflix, they're amazing. I love them. They're like meditative, the way he speaks. It's like ASMR, and instructional videos on teaching as well, all on painting as well, all wrapped into one. And so I started getting into him, and it was really a spiritual practice after a while. Like I would, sometimes I would, smoke a little bit of ganja and just watch him and stuff, and just feel really relaxed and just enjoy it. And even now that I've given up the weed, it persists, because that's what's really important. It just speaks to my soul a little bit. And so I saw myself as somebody that could paint beautiful paintings. That's the person I wanted to be. And so I said, well, I have a little bit of extra time. Why don't I try this thing? Why don't I just try doing some painting? And I wish I had my painting down here to show you guys. Maybe I'll post it on the site after this video's up and just let you guys see it. I just painted some blank, small little piece of canvas, nothing special. and I just painted some random colors on it with some swirls, and and then I got done, and I didn't know what else I wanted to put onto it, so I said, okay, I'm done. This is a painting, and that's the beauty of when you try something and you move in your direction. It doesn't need to ever be something, it doesn't need to. If you have a goal, it doesn't have to turn out the way somebody else's doing that same action looked. I'm already accomplishing my goals just by trying the goals themselves, or I'm getting closer to accomplishing them just by trying, rather than not doing it at all, which would be doing nothing for me. As far as chess goes, I am currently in the midst of getting my butt kicked by the computer chess, the computer on the chess app I have on my phone. Honestly, I have no excuses. Like, there's like little hints of like, oh, it warns you if there's a threat, or oh, here's your best move you can make, and I still get my butt kicked. Like, I don't really know. I don't know if I'm just like a horrible chess player, like maybe like one of the world's worst, or if I'm just like not understanding something, which would be kind of hard because it's not a super complicated game, like once you know how to move the pieces. But nevertheless, I'm trying. And if there's ever a game where I can actually draw the computer instead of getting my butt kicked, then it's like, wow, this was awesome. I'm making progress. And exercising, that's actually been the biggest struggle for me. I actually made it a routine winter quarter. The past 3 months for most people who aren't on the quarter system, as my school is. I made it a routine. I really got into a routine of working out 3 times a week, getting some type of movement in, not worrying about how much I'm working out, but just going in and moving my body. Well, I'm in a whole new place now. I'm completely taken out of my element, in the sense of not with my apartment, not with the same gym that was like 2 minutes away from my apartment doors. And it's just different, and so it's very difficult now. I'm having to like reinvest myself into that particular routine, which I thought was already established as a habit. So that's hard for me, but I'm making progress. The other morning I did like 25 push-ups or something like that, and I was just like, it took me like, I just did like 10 minutes of push-ups, and I was like sweating a little bit, and I was just like, okay, I'm done, and it's not a huge deal at all, but I did it. I made a step towards that image of the person that I have in my head, because I'm knowing, oh, I have some time on my hands. All right, what do I want to do? Boom, let me just do one thing to go there. And maybe tomorrow I'll do another thing, or maybe in 2 days. Finally, one more thing I wanted to, I didn't mention to you guys when I said the image in my head of myself, but I know it really has been, it's always been something that I wanted to do more, is I've always just been obsessed with, like, I want to know the classics of literature. I want to learn more about what's in, what information and what stories people have passed down from generation to generation. And the only way to do that, I feel like, or maybe the best way to do it, I don't know if it's the only, and I don't even know if it's the best way, but I'll just say maybe the best way to do that is reading. And so I've really been wanting to read more, and I've been doing better. This past spring break, I've finished one book that I've been reading for a while. School kind of gets in the way of personal reading, but I've read one book that I've been kind of working on for a good minute, and I'm almost about to finish another book. I got about like 50 pages left of another book that I'm really excited. The first book, I'll just shout it out because I think it's a great book. It's called The Power of Now. It's kind of like a spiritual journey book by a guy named Eckhart Tolle, or Eckhart Tolle. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Last name is Tolle, if you're looking for it. Basically, it's about introspection, and it's about being mindful of your body, your emotions, how you treat other people, and even in a way, it's kind of like a philosophical book. It's a little bit about life, and thinking about consciousness and how that relates to other people. It's really cool. People like Oprah Winfrey, Jim Carrey have subscribed to this guy's kind of teachings and kind of advocated for him, spoken at some of his conferences, and so that's kind of how I got into him. And then my girlfriend was actually really into him as well, and so she had the book. So I've been reading her copy of his book for like 9 months, and finally I was able to finish like the last half of the book that I had to read, that I've been slowly going through. So very happy about that. The second book that I finished, or I'm about to finish, I'm about 50 pages away, is I had an African American literature class this quarter for one of my requirements at UCSD, and it was an amazing class. I got to read from a lot of incredible Black American authors, Frederick Douglass, Harriet Jacobs, Maya Angelou, sorry, not Maya Angelou, Toni Morrison is who I meant. Sorry, Toni Morrison. We started a book of hers. Didn't get much time with her, but really cool stuff. I'm actually about to finish the autobiography of Assata Shakur, which is an incredible documentary. I'd say that anybody who's into political stuff, anybody who's into political action, anybody who's into social justice, anybody who's into anything regarding civics or societies and the way we relate to each other, I would really highly suggest that book. It's incredible about the way she conceptualizes our not only what revolution is, what it means to be revolutionary, how it's kind of an American ideal to be a revolutionary, hence American Revolution, you know, it kind of starts making sense. But it's also really cool how she shows the way she became a revolutionary freedom fighter. And people can oftentimes miss a person's message because of the way it's said, when it's and they think, oh well, I can never do that, I can never be that, they're just so different from me. But it's really incredible the way she tracks, the way she went from being a quote unquote normal Black woman growing up in America and from the South and in New York in America, and slowly chips away at her own learning, the things that she's learned and things that she thinks she's learned and thinks she knows, and becomes this person that is considered revolutionary by herself, and actually like identifies it as like a profession that she is, like a revolutionary freedom fighter or a revolutionary protester against imperialism and slavery and all types of prejudice. But also how she is labeled by the people that she's working to change as a revolutionary, as this bad word, as this, you know, hateful word. And so those are two amazing books. I'm really excited that I've been working through them. We're starting school today actually at UCSD, and so I've had to like really try and get through Assata here before the quarter starts picking up crazily. So that's been going well. So painting, kind of on the come up. We're making progress. Working out, a setback, honestly, but I'm really excited to just continue to try and make it a routine for me. I'm trying to, I need to make a calendar for myself. I want to start scheduling, using writing. I want to write down things of like, well, what do I want to do? Writing goals down has been really important for me. But I want to also write down, like practical schedule wise, what I want to do, that are goals, as well as setting myself up for like, okay, during this time of the day, making myself a little agenda. During this time of the day, I'm going to be doing schoolwork. During this time of the day, I'm going to be doing kind of chores or whatever it is. And then during this time of day, I'm going to do this goal. This time of day, I'm going to do that goal. And so setback with working out, but I'm excited to try and use that as an excuse to create another good thing in my life, what I believe is going to help me be successful, which is to try and write down a schedule and agenda for myself and integrate the working out into that, so that it has something to hold me accountable to, so I can know exactly when I should be doing it, and it can kind of make me do it more. And then finally, I think the last thing I said was, I said painting, reading, which reading was going well, and working out, and chess. Yeah, chess has been a struggle, but that's just more for fun anyway, and so it's all for fun really, so I can't even make an excuse. It's been a struggle. I'll just say that it's been a struggle. So that's what it looks like for me. Oh, I guess one more thing. Earlier this week, I was like, I guess last week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, maybe even Friday, I was doing really good. I was getting up in the morning, and for about 5 to 10 minutes every morning, first thing I did was like set an alarm and I just meditated. For about 15 minutes. I just sat on the edge of my bed, just like this. Actually, I'll demonstrate perfectly. This is my bed. I just sat right here, and I just deep breath in one time, and then just try to focus on my breathing. So for about 5, 10, 15 minutes, for 4 days or so, I was doing pretty good on that, and I was just focusing on my breathing, and it really does make a huge difference in my day. Not in any major way of like, oh, I can just do everything else that I have been struggling to do or anything. It's not that type of difference. Maybe one day it could be that, not today, and I don't know if it ever will be. The difference that's really big for me that it makes is it really makes me feel more in control of my body, more aware of my body. I'm a person who can go from 0 to 100 extremely fast, like not even just in a negative way of like, oh, I'm happy and then all of a sudden I'm super mad at somebody. Like that's accurate as well. But I'm also the type of person that like, I'm here with you, I'm talking very, calmly, everything's cool, and then something you say just sparks me, and I'm just like, I like that. I want to, I'm just like 1,000 miles an hour. I just like, I'm like, and then this, and then, and it's like, you probably don't even know what the heck I'm talking about, because I'm just off in left field in my own head because it just inspired me so much to just like spit out everything at you. And so I find that doing that breathing, doing any type of breathing, doing all the things I mentioned that kind of restore my soul, but especially meditating, it really helps me just feel more in control of that. Understanding like I have 100 thoughts that come up and then being like, okay, wait a second. I like to say all of that, but if I say it in exactly the way that it first popped up in my head, nobody's gonna understand what I'm saying. So I can just take a breath for a second, be like, okay, so this is why I'm really excited you said that, I like what you said here, and it makes me think of this in my own personal life. This story happened, and then that relates to this, which you said, and that relates to this, which I'm really fond of, so that's the way it makes a huge difference for me. And as somebody who loves talking and, I'm trying to make it my living to talk, it's very important for me to be in control of all my faculties and use all the facilities I can, to do that. So that's the last thing I should mention is that the meditation has been, in the recent days, past 4 days, not great. So we'll definitely have to get on that. But it began pretty strong, so I'm looking forward to getting back at that. So I outlined all that for a purpose, I promise. I wanted you guys to see what growth, not just change, means to me. I've been forced to change, not going to school in person this quarter. I've been forced to go home, not exactly a force, but because there's nobody on my campus or in my apartment, where there's no gym open, there's no pool open, there's nothing open in my apartment complex. So I've been essentially forced to go home, and I've been forced to adjust to everything else that you guys have been adjusting to as well, as far as like a government that's on lockdown, we'll say, and inadequate in many ways, but a government that's kind of locked things down and just made things different. I was forced to change. Change was inevitable. The way that I'm choosing growth is by reading the things that I want to read, is by playing chess and trying to get good at it. It's gonna be a long journey on that one. It's by painting, because I really love to paint, and I don't care how basic or crappy my paintings are, I'm still gonna do it, and it's still gonna be super fun. It's by working out, even when I have struggles and when I have setbacks and when I have to start over from scratch seemingly, when I thought I had a good routine going. It's by trying harder and trying to work out more and just moving, not just necessarily working out, because I don't need to be some big muscular strong guy that I see in my head. I just need to be moving and letting my body have a creative expression, just like every other part of me needs a creative expression. My mind, my thoughts, my song, my voice. And then finally by breathing intentionally, and intentionally focusing on my breathing through distractions. When I have distractions, coming back to my breathing, not judging myself for failing, just committing to breathing and focusing on breathing again. That's the ways, or those are the ways that I'm trying to grow. Intentionally growing myself, putting the water, the sunlight, and the dirt all over myself, rubbing it all over, and just trying to blossom into a beautiful new flower. I want you guys to know that you don't have to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You don't have to do all types of things to try and grow. This new world that we've been forced to partake in is changing. You do have opportunities to grow that are small and that are tailored to you and to where you're at in your own journey of life. Pick one thing. When you see yourself, as the best version of yourself, the person that you'd want to be, barring everything else, pick one of those things. It doesn't have to be all 5. You don't have to be some super professional athlete like LeBron James or Serena Williams or something like that in order to want to exercise, and you don't have to do it every single day, twice a day, like, like The Rock, in order to be committed to it, You could do a 20-minute workout of just walking, just walking somewhere outside if you wanted, or, wherever you can go to walk for 20 minutes. And if you did that 3 times a week, you're going to be much healthier. You're going to feel better. Your brain's going to be clearer. That's going to be much better for you than just not working out at all because you're like, oh, well, I can't be a professional. Listen to your body. Listen to your mind, not that one that's just running all over saying things like, oh, you suck and you'll never be this and never that. I know that one's kind of annoying. Don't listen to that one. It's stupid. You're awesome. You're beautiful. You're loved and you're amazing. Listen to that voice that's in the way back of your head that you kind of have to really, really strain to hear and to listen to. When that thing tells you, oh, I want to do that. I want to be that. I want to try that. And you say, oh, no. Then that other voice comes up and is like, no, you could never do that. That's only for those types of people. That's only for creative people. That's only for athletes. That's only for smart people. Don't listen to that voice. Just try something. Reach deep into yourself and find that voice. And I know it's probably got 100 things for you to do because I know I do. And I can only put so much energy into the world. So I just have to pick some things. You do the same. Pick some things. Choose to grow. Not because you have to. Not because everybody on, Instagram, is making you feel bad for sitting on the couch, eating a whole bunch of garbage food and watching Netflix for hours on end. Come on, we're all doing it. Seriously. The changes that you make that are intentional and that will cause you to grow, I'm telling you, they're not giant. They're small. They're very small. It takes me 20 minutes, to walk around my block with my mom and my nephew. That was an amazing time. If you guys have me on social media, you'll see that there were some cute moments in that. I'm sorry if you didn't get to see it. There were some cute moments. It took 20 minutes, but I felt amazing afterwards compared to going outside, right away. It took me maybe 10 minutes to do push-ups the other morning, but I felt good about doing something, moving my body. It's a difference maker. I still went back to the couch and stuffed my face, and one night I had literally a whole baguette and just spinach and artichoke dip. That was all I had for dinner. It was, and I just sat on the couch and just vegged out. And that's what happens sometimes, These times are hard, to just always find stimulus when nothing's open and all, it's difficult. So don't feel guilted into making changes for yourself. Think about who you want to be. Think about what you want to do. Think about what you love to do. And try to do a little bit of it. Do it because you want to and because you would love to and because you've been so busy for the past, I don't know how many years, and you haven't had time to just think or do something for you. Take this opportunity to invest in you. You deserve it. Seriously, like, who else is more important than you in the world? I mean, probably would say a lot of other people until you realize, like, well, you know, if you're not in the world, you won't even know of these people, you know? So be a little selfish, like, seriously. Don't do things because you're guilted into it. And that's kind of what I was afraid of telling you guys, you know, because I didn't want to just come on and be like, oh, well, I've been doing this and that and everything's great, because it's not, you know? I spent 4 hours just trying to do like a one little worksheet that was like for some thing I have to do for school. It's like this like administrative stuff to try and declare a major. It's like, it's blowing my mind how small of a paper it is that I'm just still working on. Like, I spent 4 hours, I'm still not done. That's like also important. Like, I'm still gonna have to go after this video and try and finish that that partly written paper, you know, and then go find the people that I have to email it to, and like probably get it emailed back to me, and they'll tell me that I did it wrong 3 different times, you know, before I figure it out. So it's not perfect. None of it is. It's seriously, it's not some great IG caption. It's not some great picture where the whole fam's doing everything perfect for ourselves. It's moments. It's all about moments, you know, and just being intentional in as many moments as you can. And when you aren't as intentional and you just want to chill out and have like a lazy day and a couple lazy days and a couple lazy weeks, that's cool too. Because the moments that you can get a few things in, or one thing in for that day, one moment in where you do something intentional to try and grow, those will carry you. Those will truly uplift you and fulfill you and help kind of build on each other and domino effect on each other and snowball into each other. And before you know it, you'll be a different person. And before you'll know it, you'll be the same person. It's complicated. I guess I'll finish with that. Good luck. Stay clean. Wash your hands. Please scrub, seriously, like all over, you know what I mean? Nails, like scrub. Hot water, warm water, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. Touch people with your elbows. That's fun. Cover your mouth, also with the elbow. And, you know, choose to grow, because you deserve it. You deserve to be the person that you want to be. All right, until next time, for goodness sake, fam, much love as always, and thank you for all the support. Peace out.